Hey guys, welcome to WDWNT Nerd Alert. I'm your host, Joe Hogarty, and joining me tonight is Jack McCarthy.
Howdy, folks.
And our special guest, Charlie Hunter.
Hello. Hello. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you here, and you're going to be here for the whole show, which is pretty awesome.
Bum, bum, bum.
An honor. An honor. It really is.
So in tonight's show, Jack, Charlie, and I will give our opinions on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the whole season. And we'll focus a little, probably mostly on the last episode that aired on Friday. But again, we're going to go over the series as a whole and say how we felt. But first, let's get into the news. Oh, you know what? Before we get into the news, I wanted to show something to you guys. I picked this up recently, and I just wanted to show like the listeners or the viewers. I got the Alex Ross poster book, and it's 35 removable posters and one giant poster of them all collected together. And the art is fantastic, but I got a huge problem with it. And it's basically, it's the backgrounds. Like, you know, they're just plain, they're white, you know, there's nothing to it. And then there's like a little description. It's just very, very plain, you know.
Well, that's like his Justice League portraits. They're supposed to be portraits.
Yeah,
they
I don't
really
like
need
it,
a
though.
background.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, you can hang these up and everything, but I would have appreciated more of a background. And again, these all come together into one giant poster. It would have been nicer if they were different poses as opposed to the posters. But yeah, I mean, I love that cap. I mean, that looks great and everything, but I don't know.
Let me see his Hulk if you can find that page, because on the cover, that Hulk looks very cool.
Yeah, he's kind of gigantic, the Hulk. In this one, he's the biggest
Joe,
one.
should be easy to find. He's the Hulk.
You would think so. I just got the She-Hulk.
Try the contents page.
No, they don't have it. Oh, here we go.
Whoa.
That's a nice looking Hulk.
Yeah, for some reason, the thing is... Now, Jack would know this. I mean, how much smaller is the thing to the Hulk?
Considerably. I mean, the thing depends when they draw him, but he doesn't have that kind of height. The thing is maybe a little bit more than 6 feet. But depending on who's drawing him, sometimes they make him look like he's 7 or 8 feet like the Hulk, but he's not as big as the Hulk. He's eye to eye with Captain America, who is 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", supposedly. And a lot of artists forget that they make the Hulk, I mean, the Thing, this huge guy, but he's not. He's tough as heck, but he's not huge like the Hulk is.
Like, how tall would the Hulk be? Over 7 feet?
The Hulk is supposed to be like 7 or 8 feet. But sometimes they draw him where, you know, he's holding people in one hand, you know, around the waist where, you know, you'd swear he was 15 feet tall. It depends on the artist. Some of them forget scale.
I don't know. So, I mean, I'm thinking about
same thing, Thanos as well. Thanos is about this. He's eye to eye with Captain America, but they draw him like, you know, like he is in the MCU, that he's this huge towering giant. He's not. I mean, you look at the Infinity Gauntlet, you know, that famous scene where, you know, Cap is the last one standing. Him and Thanos are eye to eye. He's not this huge hulking guy. He's super muscular, but he's a relatively normal height. So it depends on the artist a lot of times.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm thinking about returning it because, I don't know, it's a little disappointing. Well, it was $20, which it's okay when you, what'd you say?
Bargain.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's 35 individual posters, but I don't know. I just think that I want to put something in the background. I mean, I love Superman up there, but I need to put some Marvel stuff up there, maybe some Star Wars stuff.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of Alex Ross prints and posters out there. So,
yeah,
like I said, it shouldn't be too hard to find something you like.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now let's get into the news. So the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings trailer dropped. So what did you think of that, Jack?
I think it looks good. I think it looks fun. don't know much about him now. I remember he was very big in the 70s. But now, after the world of political correctness has taken over and gone amok, I know they can't follow a lot of the story from the series in the 70s, that they've had to update it and make it more sensitive to Asian culture without falling back on stereotypes. So I don't know how that's going to affect it, especially since it takes place in modern time. What I am excited about is the 10 Rings. That group I want to hear more about. And I don't know if they are related to the original group in the first Iron Man movie or not. But I hope that leads to the real Mandarin somewhere along the
Well,
line.
no, I think the Mandarin is in this, and I thought that
I don't know if it is the Mandarin or not. It could just be another. I mean, in the 70s, I believe it was Fu Manchu or Yellow Claw was the name of the villain. I don't know if it's that person or
I'm
if
almost
it's gonna be the
positive
Mandarin.
he's in it. And if it's called The Legend of the 10 Rings, I don't think it's going to have to do with the group. It's going to have to do with the individual rings and who holds it. And I'm sure the Mandarin is going to be in this.
Yeah, but you know those ancient secret societies. It could be something almost like Hydra.
I don't
But
think
hey,
so.
we'll see. But I mean, it looks fun. I don't know how much it will be like the old series, but let's face it, Marvel always goes and shows us a good time.
What about you, Charlie?
Well, I guess, I mean, I don't know too much about it. And, you know, I hadn't read up on it really that much. I guess I just, to my mind, I always go back, and you and I have talked about this, Joe, where, you know, when Marvel did their grand reveal of everything, and it's like, here's something else, here's something else, here's something else. There's some genuine exciting things in there that are coming up, and I can't wait to. And I know we'll talk about a couple of them in the news today, but it's almost as if this one kind of gets lost in it because it just feels like another identikit trailer. It just feels like another thing. And it might be spectacular and it might be wonderful. And I might be being really unfair on it. But if you put that up against other things, I'm kind of like, you know, especially if they make something like this pay-per-view, like, yeah, I don't know if it's going to be pay-per-view like Mulan. But
More than likely.
yeah, it's one of those things whereby I wouldn't pay-per-view it. I'd wait until it gets released and then watch it that way. And the other thing is, and I don't know if this is purposeful, but with Hollywood moving the products to be more Asia friendly, so they get sold better, they get more well received in China and places like that. Whether this is something, you know, but like the Meg. I mean, when the Meg came out with Jason Statham, that was primarily went for funding. No one could give him funding. He got the funding from China, who gave him all the tax breaks and, you know, all the things that he needed. And it's a great film, but you don't feel that there's any influence there in order to make it that way. It's just brilliant. I mean, I you know, as a Jaws fan, I mean, I like Meg. So I look at something like this trailer and then I go, yeah, you know, Cassian Andor series is coming, you know, Loki's coming, you know, all these other things are coming. I'll get excited. I can't get excited about all of them. So,
Well, I mean, I'd say for me, this did nothing for me. But I will say most Marvel trailers do nothing for me. I remember when Infinity War came out, I wasn't impressed at all. I mean, the scene that I remember the most was them all running in Wakanda, and just didn't do anything for me. Same thing with Endgame. I mean, you saw all of the time travel suits and all that stuff. Just didn't do anything for me. I think for some reason they just don't know how to do trailers where they hold back, where they want to release all the good stuff.
Or
Like
they
on
put
the
in
screens.
red herrings as well.
Yeah, that's true. But this
but they
one,
also get. I also read that they cast 4 different production companies to make a trailer, and they picked the best one.
oh really?
Yeah,
I mean,
think I
whenever
read-
they do trailers.
yeah.
Huh.
I
Well,
didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I heard it this weekend on another podcast. Yeah, sorry, listening to another podcast, but yeah,
I'm
don't know if
shocked
that's
and
it.
offended, Charlie.
I know. I'm hanging my head in shame, Jack. I really am.
That's it. Blur them out.
I'll blame myself.
No, but if that's the case, then I'd like to see other ones because this one just didn't do anything for me.
No.
I think like the beginning, it just felt like a made-for-TV movie or even a TV series. I think that this guy, his name is Simu Liu. He just doesn't do anything for me. I mean, he doesn't seem like he's got star power, if that's the word I'm looking for. He just looks very plain. But he's ripped too, which is kind of cool. Like when you finally see him,
Well, he's got to be.
yeah, with his shirt off and he's doing the kung fu. But when he's got his like baseball jacket on, it's just like that's not how I wanted to be introduced to the character Shang-Chi. And when I was younger, like Jack, I remember this series, and how we used to get comic books is we would go to like, I guess they were called drugstores. I don't know. We weren't that old, where we had soda fountains and all that crap. Although some of the places I did go to did have soda fountains. But I would go in there, and if
Staten Island was a very different place from Brooklyn. We might have had newspaper shops, but that's about it. We didn't have soda pop stands.
I forget what it was called. It was where I was in Great Kills, Tom and something, but they did have like a soda fountain there. Anyway, but when the comics would come out, and if you were late, all the Spider-Mans were gone, all the Hulks were gone, all the Fantastic Fours were gone, Iron Mans were gone, Captain America, and then you get something like Werewolf by Night or Man-Wolf by
Werewolf by Night.
Oh, you're something wrong with you.
No,
you
I did. Everything. I love that. That was so goofy. It doesn't hold up well, but it was fun back in the day when I was a wee bairn.
Or you got this one, which was Shang-Chi, and he just didn't look like a superhero. And don't get me wrong, I love kung fu movies. I'm a huge fan of Bruce Lee. I've seen them multiple times as a kid. I couldn't get enough. And Jack remembers too, back in New York, I think it was Channel 5. They used to have like
the Kung Fu Saturday mornings.
Yeah, it was the drive-in theater, and it was called. And it was just all kung fu movies. And I would never miss one.
Yeah, Charlie, you'd have one channel that would show the old kung fu karate movies from like 9 to like noon. And then you had another channel that would play all the old like Universal monster pictures.
Oh, wow.
Same thing from like great. 9 to 11. Just they'd run them every week. So depending on what you like, you'd see all these old movies, and they were great.
Yeah, and you didn't mind commercials, because basically when commercials came, that meant you can go in the kitchen and like fix something.
Yeah, that would let you get your cereal bowl filled up.
Yeah. But yeah, my problem with this character, he just doesn't seem like a superhero to me. Number one, I mean, I guess he's got a costume. Like from that poster, it looks like he's got a costume, but it's still not a cool costume, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know why Marvel is doing this. It's like they're, again, giving us kind of crap. Like when you think about it, like we didn't want a Black Widow movie. We didn't need it. I am not anticipating that movie at all. And then we got the Eternals. Didn't want that either. What's the other one?
What did you want? What did you want, Joe?
I wanted another Captain America movie, or maybe a World War Hulk.
You've got one.
You got a whole series.
We'll get to that. But yeah, no. But there were parts in this trailer that looked pretty cool. Like when he started doing the kung fu. I guess like in a temple and stuff like that, and he was facing actual opponents, like real warriors with mystical powers. That looked pretty cool. Then I saw what's her name, Aquafina. Oh, I can't stand that girl. I could not stand her. I don't know why Disney keeps pushing her. She was the dragon in Raya and the Dragon. She was in something else that Disney did. I don't think she's talented. She's a rapper. I remember her probably about 5 or 10 years ago. She was in that sequel to Neighbors with Seth Rogen. And,
for the life of me, I have no idea who this person is.
No.
You said Aquafina, and I'm like, what's he got? A little sponsor?
She's actually,
Aquafina tag on his. uniform or something?
I think she's either a rapper now. She started out as a rapper, but she became successful after Crazy Rich Asians, which I seen that and I just didn't get it. I don't get her at all. I think that they keep pushing her because maybe some people do like her. I don't like her. And I'm sorry. She's not very, what's a nice word to say, Jack?
Uh-oh, here comes Charlie.
Oh dear. Ooh.
Without getting a hate mail. If you're going to have a lead Asian actress, I'm sorry, like which I've heard from tons of women that they go and see Thor movies to see hot looking Thor. Well,
Anymore.
Well, no, he'll be back. I heard he's working out. He'll be back to his buff self.
Yes, he's back to be.
No, I
know,
meant
he's not
Jane's
Fat
going to take
Thor
over.
in the new.
Oh yeah, Jane's taking over. But that's not to say that it won't be a hot looking Thor. Am I right?
You know, it'd be great if I'd love if they could bring the Netflix Iron Fist cast in.
No.
No, I kind of like the second season.
I put an X across everything from Netflix. I don't want to see that ever again, including Daredevil.
Including
done.
Daredevil. Daredevil was
done.
great though.
Done.
Ooh.
Oh.
I just don't. Daredevil was just too long. It was 3 seasons and it was 20 episodes each season. Just too much. It's just too much information.
I thought Daredevil was awesome. All
Anyway,
3 seasons.
I'm not looking forward to this movie. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully, again, they'll do what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy. I wasn't looking forward to Guardians either, and they were a crap group of superheroes that most people didn't know, and they changed that. So hopefully they'll do the magic again. But I have a feeling this is the beginning of the end for Marvel, starting with Black Widow, and we'll see that as it comes. They'll blame the pandemic and that people's views have changed, but I think as we lead into our next story, I'll explain why. So the Hollywood Reporter has announced that Captain America 4 is in the works and is being written by the people behind the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Jackie boy.
I don't want to spoil our main story. Good for them.
Well, no, you could spoil it because we all know that everybody that's watching this had seen the series. We know that the Falcon becomes Captain America.
Yeah,
So
but I don't want to ruin
There
the
you go.
surprise of my opinion.
I just did, so you can talk about it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe took an executive decision.
I thought that the Falcon and Winter Soldier was great up until the last episode.
Well, all right. Well, don't get into that. I'm just saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. After the last episode, I'm honestly not really interested in a Captain America 4, which Sam is Captain America.
All right. Period. End of sentence. Because we'll discuss what you have to say. Because I have a feeling you're just going to go right into the series.
Stay tuned for more drama.
All right,
Hallelujah, Jack. I'm with you on that one.
Charlie.
Except you're wrong about the series as a whole. It's all bad. But anyway,
All bad.
You guys are spoiling everything.
well, we can't skirt. You can't talk about a Captain America film and then there's not talk about some of the
All right,
things.
maybe I
to do
should
with
have brought
Captain
this
America.
down and addressed
Maybe you
it
should have a
after.
news
Okay, let's
extra
go
at
next
the end.
story.
No.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you think? So, you're not into this either, Charlie?
Not bothered. Yeah, I mean, it might be. It might be good, but I think after that 6th episode, I think I know where we're going to be discussing and where it's going to be going. And I do wonder for the future of Marvel. I'm not as pessimistic as you, Joe. I'm concerned for the future of Marvel rather than I think it's the beginning of the end. But we'll get into that. I know we will. But yeah, not fussed really.
I'd say for the next 5 years, we are not going to have fun with the MCU. Some people might, but we're definitely not. It's not our movies. And if you look back to the comics, and if Marvel looked back at the comics, it's kind of like history repeating itself. And if you don't learn from history, you're failed to repeat it, and that's exactly what they're doing. They did this in the comics, and I think it was back in 2014 or something like that. I don't know, like around then, where they were replacing all the superheroes with either people of color or female characters to replace the, I guess, the male white superheroes. And I just thought it was the wrong way to go about things. It's, you don't get rid of like a whole group of superheroes to be more diverse. You create more diverse superheroes, original
Absolutely.
superheroes. So what they did, if I remember correctly, and Jack could correct me, Falcon became Captain America in the comics because Cap had lost his powers, the super soldier serum, and it worn off or something like that. Jane Foster became Thor.
Which was awesome.
Amadeus Cho became, well, Thor was no longer worthy,
No, but Jane Foster as Thor, that was a great run.
All right, well, that's cool. I actually have that available on Prime, so I'm going to read it soon. So I'm looking forward to it. Amadeus Cho became the Hulk. What happened to the Hulk back then?
Actually, the Hulk was killed, I believe, for a little while. They were once again all concerned about him, and Banner was like, "I have it under control," and they're all like pushing him to make sure, that he's not going to erupt into the Hulk again. And supposedly he had asked Hawkeye to keep an eye on him. So during the conversation, Hawkeye from 100 yards away thinks he sees a glimmer of green in Bruce Banner's eye. So he releases a adamantium tipped arrow and basically shoots Bruce Banner through the eye socket, killing him finally, because he wasn't really the Hulk yet. So they did a whole big thing. Amadeus Cho had been a sidekick to Bruce Banner for a while, but he always referred to himself, "I'm the sixth smartest person on the planet." So he always kind of put himself behind Reed Richards, Tony Stark, Dr. Doom, and I forget who else. But he always used to joke about it. And he somehow captured the gamma from Bruce Banner, and he became the Hulk for a little while. So what you did have was you had a younger, fun Hulk. I kind of lost track of what happened, though, because somehow I don't think he stepped down from being the Hulk. I think he's still the Hulk in the Champions.
Yeah, I think he is too, yeah.
But, Amadeus Cho is a pretty good character as well.
I know, but my point is...
No, I get your point, though. Create new characters, new heroes, or bring up, like Amadeus Cho had been around for a long time. He wasn't made on the scene just to replace the Hulk. He was around like Rick Jones was around for the Hulk for years. So I'm glad they used him versus here's this new guy out of nowhere who comes along and now he's the new Hulk.
All right.
I like that they brought people up, but I kind of get what you're saying. It would be nice to see some new.
I'm still not done.
I know you're not done.
So Rory Williams, she became Iron Man.
Never liked that one.
She was a 15-year-old black girl. Again, you see the pattern. I had seen the pattern. I brought it up on the show, and someone that was the show was pissed that I was talking about it. But, I'm just saying what I see. It's just so obvious. Kate Bishop became Hawkeye.
Also fun.
Yeah, but again, even in this series, it's like you're making a series on Disney Plus about Hawkeye. Isn't it a slap in the face? That he didn't really get much respect in the movies, and now all of a sudden they're like, we're making this series to replace you, with Kate Bishop. I just don't like that whole aspect. X-23 became Wolverine.
That was a good storyline.
I know, but again, like I said, they were replacing the main characters with non-white males, basically. Miles Morales, I think, became the main Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man was still around. Peter Parker.
Peter Parker in the Ultimate Universe died fighting the Green Goblin finally. So they both kind of took each other out. So Miles Morales was the Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe. But
Okay. So,
after the second Secret Wars, the latest Secret Wars, the universes merged where Miles is now in with Peter Parker.
and then what made things worse, which was the cherry on the top, is they made Steve Rogers become the most evilest person in the Marvel comics and the Marvel universe. He became a Nazi. It was revealed that it was a 75th anniversary. What's that?
It was Hydra.
I know, but it's
Not
still
Nazi. Hydra's different from Nazis, but
they're about the same.
they both are evil,
They're still bad.
incredible monsters.
They wear similar outfits and they speak with a German accent, don't they?
They don't all speak with a German accent.
All right. Austrian.
But okay, go on.
No, but my point is they made him, for his 75th anniversary, they made him evil, and they revealed that for 75 years, he has fooled us all, that he was actually working with Hydra all this time, and he just waited until it was right to show his true colors and then kill one of his best friends and stuff like that. And then he took over the country. They tried to make him into a Trump character where he now was in control of the country. He would declare fake news on the press. He would imprison the press and execute them. I forget what else.
Quite a Trump character, but okay.
What's that?
He wasn't quite a Trump
the whole
character.
fake news thing. I mean,
the fake news, yeah, but I will say this.
The borders.
Hydra Captain America was probably more evil than Donald Trump. Probably.
Shut up. Anyway, so my point is, I just don't like that they're doing this crap, and I think it's going to fail. It's like...
Can I ask an entirely predictable question?
Go ahead.
If you shift everything, I mean, I know this is a very simplistic way to look at it. If you take something and shift it all the way to one side, taking out the essence of what it was to begin with, that's not equality. Surely.
Well,
it's not spreading the love around. I think equality is spreading the love around. That it's about, rather than meeting certain criteria, it's about who's best for the role. I think I'm sorry for that's way too simplistic, but if you do that and then you shift all of these beloved characters and they all have to be, I think from what you were saying, they were turning them from maybe white characters to, sorry, not white characters, but changing them from the evil in the world at the moment, which is the middle-aged white man. If you change it all over, then what does that achieve?
No, you're right. I mean, I totally agree with you with that. And then again, it's going to make some people happy, but it's going to infuriate other people that have loved those characters for a while. And then also, I mean, again, if you're a person that falls into that category of being a white male, you're like, now all of a sudden I'm evil. It's like, I didn't even do anything, but for some reason they're like, no, the Russians are no longer enemies, and China's no longer enemies. It's rich white men, they got to go. And I don't know. I just think that it didn't work back then, and it's not going to work now. I don't believe a lot of these streaming services, like especially like when Wonder Woman 84 came out, and they said, oh, it was a huge success. Like after like one day, and they're like, so much of a success where we've greenlit Wonder Woman 3, and everybody hated that movie. I don't know anyone that liked that movie.
Dreadful.
And the same thing with Justice League. They're like, everyone's like, oh, it's the best movie ever made. It's the best DC movie ever made. It's like, no, it was better than the crappier movie that they'd made, but it's still too friggin' long. It doesn't deserve a sequel or anything like that. And I think it's the same thing what they do with WandaVision and what they do with the Falcon and Winter Soldier. It was like a tremendous success. I'm not ever going to watch any of those series again, ever. Now, that's why I like movies, because you can watch movies over and over again. They're 2 hours, and you get it a lot more. Well, they spend a lot more on production. You get a better story. You get And and it's just 2 hours. Like I've watched, I'm trying to think what movie. Well, Superman the movie. I can't imagine how many times I watched that. And Star Wars, like the first Star Wars, I watched and what count are you up to on Jaws? Charlie.
Well, I've seen it again. So since we last had the count, 311 essentially, I think.
God. 311. You must know how many teeth are in his mouth.
No, give me a fact. Give me a line. Yep, I'm your man when it comes to Jaws. Oh, the books I've got about Jaws are just filling an entire shelf. Critiques, other ways to think about it.
So you're probably one of those people that would like a Jaws series. So.
No, definitely not. I don't want a remake. I don't want it in 3D. Don't touch it. If ever they're going to do it, I would say make the book. Not
because
not a
the
remake
book was
of the
pretty
film.
different from the movie.
Yeah, the book was dark, really dark.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's affairs, the mafia. The town is completely desolate. Amity is a rundown place because the mob's taken all the money out of it. It's just great. I love reading the book. I do go back and read the book.
I'm just saying, yeah, I think if they remade Jaws now, there would be a lot of messages in there.
Yeah, you'd CGI the shark as well, and where's the fun in that?
I wasn't going to say something. I'll tell you after the podcast. I'll just because I think I hit the brakes on that one. Okay, well, let's get on the next news story. So Russell Crowe is going to play Zeus in Thor: Love and Thunder, and Christian Bale. I think we had spoke about this. He's playing Gore the God Butcher. So, Jack, you are more for me.
This opens up a very exciting chapter for Thor. I mean, because right now we haven't seen much of the other pantheons. We've got caught a little bit in Doctor Strange with Vishanti. I'm not sure how to say it. It's one of those words that I've read and I recognize, but trying to pronounce some of them are kind of crazy. So the fact that we're going to see the Greek mythology coming in, we could see like a Thor Hercules battle or Asgard against Olympus, which would be really pretty cool. Unfortunately, I think it may end up that we'll see Gore going after the Olympians, and that's maybe when we'll see him take out Zeus or some other one of the Greek gods. So that's kind of exciting, and I think Russell Crowe could pull off a Zeus. He's got that kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Gravitas,
perspective. You know, he comes across as a bigger than life character very well, and I think he would be a good Zeus.
Well, except as in Man of Steel and The Mummy. I mean, he's dreadful in both of those.
I thought he was good as
I thought he was okay in Man of Steel. One of the few good things.
Right.
But I didn't see the other one.
Yeah, no. And Jack, for your sanity and for 2 hours of your life back, don't get curious.
Doesn't he play Dr. Jekyll?
Yes. And it's just it's awful.
Yeah, they ruined that. They were trying to create a universal monster universe.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the MCU, and the movies were so horrible that they just stopped.
Well, I don't know why they didn't take the approach of just making, if you want something to tie together, make this group as monster hunters. Because weren't they part of the monsters in that relaunch with the Mummy and stuff?
I don't know. I didn't even watch any of them.
Hang on, I gotta close this curtain a little bit. I'm getting a lot.
Doesn't Russell Crowe have to start working out now? Because I saw him recently. He looks like Thor in Endgame.
Yeah, no, he looks like he drank a lot of beer recently. But we
I
don't know.
think that looks better.
He might be on a workout regime.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved him My favorite movie with him, and it was A Beautiful Mind. I thought he was great in that.
It was awesome in that.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
like Gladiator. I mean, he was cool back then. Everybody wanted to be him. But yeah, he should be good.
But like good actors, they then star in dross, like that Proof of Life with Meg Ryan, which is it's awful. Why is it that when they're on a roll, they can't pick good movies, and then suddenly they pick this popcorn dross that you think nobody's ever even going to watch this?
Well, no one really wants to hire him anymore because like he beats too many people up, or he did in the past. And I mean,
Yeah,
he
he's
would
one
have.
of those difficult to work with guys.
I knew there was something I liked about him. Yeah, right.
Yeah, like I think during the BAFTAs, it was around during A Beautiful Mind. He was reading a poem that he wrote, and they went to commercial, and then he beat up the producer.
Yes, that's right. That is right. Yeah.
And then I think he beat up somebody because he was trying to reach his girlfriend in Australia, and the line got disconnected or something like that. He's just the guy. He was a good looking guy. He was in great shape. He was a really good actor, but he was so full of himself, that.
Yeah, but you know what? In
you need
this
that
world,
to play Zeus.
Yeah.
You
But
need that. I'm the best there is.
But that's why you don't see Mike Myers anymore. I'm trying to think who else. That where they had so much problems. Edward Norton, is that the producers just said, we've had enough. They're just not worth the trouble. And
but don't you miss the Hellraisers, Joe? When you were talking about the BAFTAs, I was thinking, wasn't that the same year that Kiefer Sutherland came over and basically drank far too much and tried to climb a Christmas tree in the
I didn't know about that.
in the reception of the Grosvenor? Oh, it's great. You could go and Google it. He's
I'll
so
check
drunk.
that out. Yeah.
He's so drunk. And I'm like, great. We have our we have our people back. We have the Hellraisers back. That's what we need. Where's Charlie Sheen where you need him? I mean,
oh God, I see him in commercials every now and then.
I have no idea what he's doing. Is he still in rehab? Is he still getting himself together? Or?
No, he's out. I think it's an open door rehab for him.
Right.
When he needs to get high, he leaves. Anyway, so did you hear about the Secret Invasion series coming to Disney Plus?
Heard about that. Excited about that.
See, and then this is where I defer to Jack, right? Because when it comes to things like this, I've looked at the behind the scenes, the teaser, the look into it. All I will say from Secret Invasion, because I don't know too much, but does it have the potential to change everything that we know? Kind of like a What If, the What If series that's coming to Disney. Does it have the potential to say, that event that you really I'm not going to say I am Iron Man, right? I'm not going to say it's that, but does it have the potential to change the way you look at certain things and go, because that wasn't who you think it was?
It could, depending on how big they want to go with it. Because it's TV, and even though it's Disney Plus and they've been obviously spending money on it, you're not going to see Captain America as a Skrull.
Yeah.
What you may see is someone like Phil Coulson could be a Skrull. Somebody, a secondary character who's been moving around in the Marvel universe, but is not.
Coulson was already. Yeah.
Because then you'd have to have Chris Evans come in and do spots as Captain America. I don't think they're going to spend that kind of money, but we may see somebody like
maybe the U.S. agent.
That was actually the only part I liked in this last episode, but okay, we'll go back to that.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
But I would say you'd see somebody like maybe Maria Hill was a Skrull all along. When there's a change of things, like we've seen she was replaced while Nick Fury's on vacation out in space, but it could have been prior. But what I'm more excited about is the prospect of the Skrulls going back to being their evil, sneaky, conniving selves. So not that I disliked them in Captain Marvel, but
I liked them there.
Skrulls have been traditionally one of those just sneaky evil. Nobody likes the Skrulls in MCU. The Kree are basically jerks, which we've seen on Captain Marvel and on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But everyone universally hates the Skrulls because they're so sneaky and conniving. And it's not like they hate them just because they're shapeshifters. No, they hate them because they're sneaky, scheming, and conniving. So, like I said, I'd be glad to see the Skrulls come back as their villainous self from the comics. They're a great alien race, like the Klingons in Star Trek used to be. That they have this one race that's just out there, just looking to cause trouble, just looking to mess with people. That's why they do it, because it's fun to screw people over. So, like I said, I'd like to see the Skrulls come back to their villainous comic book roots.
See, I'd like to see the a kind of like, like a thriller type paranoid, Cold War style
That's
thriller.
Exactly what it would turn
like
into.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I'd love that. Especially got Robert Redford in it as well, and you like going cram as many political heavyweights and from the 70s in there.
Is he in it?
Robert Redford.
Yeah.
In Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Oh no, I mean, is he going to be in the series?
No. I wouldn't think he would be because well, he might be in the Loki series. I mean, he's still the director of Hydra, isn't he? So
yeah.
Maybe he's playing golf with Steve Rogers. So.
All right. I'm just gonna say I'm not looking forward to this at all. I don't like any of the Disney Plus series that have been announced, other than The Mandalorian, which surprised me. But I didn't like WandaVision. I didn't like The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This sounds like crap, and I was never a fan of the Skrulls in the comics. Unlike Jack, who really liked them. Every time I would see them on the cover, I was like, I don't want them. Give me Doctor Doom or the Mole Man or something like that. But the Skrulls just never did anything for me. I know a little bit about Secret Invasion, but I didn't really follow it. I just had read about it on the internet and looked at some stuff on YouTube and stuff like that.
Well, Charlie used the right word. The Skrulls are there to ratchet up paranoia. And the whole who can you trust thing. So, like I said, there could be a lot of fun with that. But, like I said, I don't know how much we're really invested in the secondary characters when it was an issue of Tony Stark's been doing all these terrible things since Civil War. Why could he be a Skrull? And honestly, in the comics, I was so sure Tony Stark was the Super Skrull in disguise somehow, but that turned out not to be the case. They just decided to ruin the character of Tony Stark in the comics. So, like I said, if they could find the right mix of secondary characters that we're kind of familiar with and have some sort of connection with, and then you ratchet up the paranoia of who can you trust, it could be a good series, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'll say Jack hit the nail right on the head, that they're not going to use characters like Captain America, Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch, or anything like that, that they're going to either use minor superheroes or just regular humans to shapeshift into. Who gives what? It's, to me, and I'm not a huge fan of Nick Fury in the MCU. I never was. I think he overstayed his welcome. I'm pissed that he didn't die in the Winter Soldier because he should have. It's kind of like the whole Rise of Skywalker crap where, no, we can't kill that person. We have to keep them. And I'm not a fan of S.H.I.E.L.D. either. I would have loved if S.H.I.E.L.D. never entered the equation in the MCU. I kind of feel like it strongholds the Avengers and all the other characters. Spider-Man now is involved with S.H.I.E.L.D. To me, they weren't that prominent in the comics when I was reading them. They had their own comic and stuff like that, and they were around. but it's like they don't have to be involved in every friggin' thing that the superheroes do. And to me, they're the most boring aspect of the MCU. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. I think it's gonna suck. But of course, there'll be people say, "Oh, it's the best thing ever since the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and before WandaVision."
Do you know what? It's nice to see you get a Rise of Skywalker in there again. Get it in there, Joe. Get the reference in there.
Yeah.
Every podcast, yep, we got a Rise of Skywalker. I feel that I'll have to shoehorn Howard the Duck in somewhere.
You just did
in retaliation. In no context, Joe. Just literally just mentioning. That's it.
All right, so we reported last week that Netflix had secured the rights to the Spider-Man movies along with other Sony titles. Now, not so fast. It turns out that Disney and Sony had worked out a deal, and they now secure the rights to the Sony movies and the Spider-Man catalog. Starting in 2022, we'll probably see all the Spider-Man movies on Disney Plus, and that runs until 2026. They also have not only Disney Plus, but they have the Disney channels, they have Freeform, they have ABC, they have Hulu. So you're going to be seeing a lot more Spider-Man in the Disney universe on TV, which is okay.
Which is good.
Sure,
More Spider-Man.
Not Far From Home, but yeah, Homecoming. I know we disagree. I think am I the only one on here that
I'm with
really
you.
likes Homecoming?
It's Far From Home is, of all the MCU movies, it's at the bottom. I couldn't stand that movie.
No, it's not the bottom, Joe.
Well, what's the bottom for you?
Oh,
Iron Man 2.
Dark World.
No.
Thor Dark World.
Well, at least Thor is in there,
He's at the bottom. he's in there.
and Odin is in there, and Thor is being Thor. Spider-Man, I just don't want to get into it, but I will say Mysterio was good in it, though.
Well, Charlie, I'll disagree with you. I enjoyed both of the Marvel Spider-Man movies immensely.
Did you prefer Far From Home to Homecoming?
No, I preferred Homecoming because that's more your basic Spider-Man movie.
Oh,
but Far From
incredible.
Home, I thought was a lot of fun. I liked how they did Mysterio and actually made him a little bit more up to date, a little bit more of a technical, big world villain, kind of, instead of just being a special effects guy who hated the studio and was going to bring it down and just make some money. They kind of gave him a bigger agenda, bigger plan that he was going after.
They did good with the villains in the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, I liked how they handled Mysterio. I liked Far From Home.
The villain in Homecoming is one of my favorites.
Michael Keaton as the Vulture was terrific.
Like the Vulture always sucked in the comics, and he redeemed that character, which is pretty cool.
Well, it was a whole different angle. I mean, the Vulture in the comics is like this 80-year-old guy who's built a little bird suit and flies around, and he's low key. You don't have the same thing. They took a street level villain, gave him a bigger, grander plan, and they pumped him up. Same way Mysterio. You'd never see Mysterio fighting the Avengers or the FF or the X-Men. He's not. He's a street level guy. He's more for the Spider-Mans, the Daredevils, the Moon Knights, that level guy. So
apparently they were looking at Larry David for the Vulture. He would have been a good comic book accurate.
That would have been a very comic book accurate Vulture.
Yeah.
But let's face it, Keaton knocked it out of the park.
He did. He did.
My favorite scene is when he's in the car and he realizes that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and the menace that just oozes out of that scene is incredible.
How he switches too from the loving dad who says, "Honey, go inside, have a good time," and to, "You're going to go in there, you're going to show my daughter a good time, and then you're going to get out of our lives." Like it was such a flip.
Yeah.
That it was good.
He was great because again, he's like, "I'm going to cut you slack because you saved my daughter's life." And he goes, "But after that, that's it, because I'm not only going to go after you, I'm going to go after everyone you love,
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this guy is dark.
I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want to burn his house down. I want his little dog dead.
Jack's impression of Robert De Niro. F
From
Not a
Toy
good
Story.
one at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could
So,
do people like Joseph Hogarty just fine.
now my biggest problem with Homecoming was Karen. I just didn't like. It's funny now that Karen is such a derogatory name. I wonder if they're going to completely get rid of her. That'd be great. You know? Anyway, all right. Last story. Speaking of Michael Keaton, he is officially signed on to play Batman in the Flash movie. Charlie is
My
enthusiastically.
Batman. My Batman. Yes. And he's back. Triumphant return. Triumphant. I cannot wait.
I'm with you, Charlie. I
I'm happy that you guys are happy.
yeah, because we talked last week that he said he didn't think he was going to do it because he didn't want to fly over to England and he didn't read the script, and I think he was looking for more money. Basically, that was
Yeah,
his
then
way
they
of
drove up the
negotiating.
dump truck and poured it out.
But say what you will about Michael Keaton and Batman, like he might not have been completely accurate to the comic books and all that stuff, but he was the first good Batman. Because when you think about it, prior to that, we had Adam West, and Adam West
was a good Batman for
he
the
did
time.
more. He did more harm
For
than
the
good.
time. That's what Batman was very much like through the 50s.
He was very campy, and again, it's amazing because like back in the 50s, he was nothing. Like if you wanted to buy the rights to Batman, you probably literally could have bought them. Now it's virtually impossible to buy them, and that's part of you have to thank Frank Miller for recreating Batman, and then Tim Burton.
It's actually more like Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams, but okay.
I don't know about that.
I would have loved The Dark Knight to have been Michael Keaton and Heath Ledger. Perfection.
Well, I don't know if that would have worked though. But
you want to get nuts.
No, but we talked about it. I'd love to see him return as Batman, as Batman Beyond, as an older Bruce Wayne training a new Batman and stuff like that. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, that really would be cool.
Yeah, so hopefully, and at one point I wanted to make, I still don't know why they're making this Flash movie, because it's really something I don't want, especially after what happened with Justice League and all that. It's just, DC, do what you're doing, make movies about the Joker and Shazam and Wonder Woman and stuff like that. Just make individual movies and then figure out what you're doing. Don't go back to the Snyderverse and start doing this crap all over again. Don't listen.
You know what? This also, the whole concept of the Flash movie gives DC an easy out with any problems they have. Because say, I don't know, Ben Affleck is being too difficult. Okay, you know what? Let's switch universes. And now we have, Robert Pattinson comes in. Or Robert Pattinson's Batman, if it bombs, could be completely ignored and never heard from again.
They already have problems with Robert Pattinson right now.
Huh?
They already have problems with Robert Pattinson right now.
But this is what I mean. DC now has an out because of the whole multiverse aspect being brought in. If a star is too difficult, say Gal Gadot goes crazy and doesn't want to be Wonder Woman anymore. Okay, well, you know what? Here's universe Earth 200, and she's Wonder Woman now. And it's like, okay, well, that makes sense. We have the multiverse and whatever. So it gives DC an easy out for any problems they're having, because everything could happen in another multiverse. And like I said, in some ways that helps, but to make a big budget movie just to give yourself that escape hatch, I don't know.
I don't know. Speaking of Gal Gadot,
who cares if it's a Flash movie? We get Keaton back. That's
fine.
That's true. Make whatever vehicle you want to bring him back. I don't mind.
Yeah, there you go. Batman Beyond happens in another Earth, and Michael Keaton never gave up being Batman in that Earth.
Yeah.
Do what you want, guys. Tell a story. Which may be good, because maybe they'll finally start paying attention to story instead of who's playing who.
Controversial, Jack. They
You
might
heard it here.
actually. Well, breaking news.
When
was gonna
I'm
say,
running DC Universe.
Speaking of Gal Gadot, apparently I just read that she cut the tip off of her finger recently. She was like, I think making salad or some sort of food, and she cut her tip off. And her husband was so grossed out by it, he threw it in the garbage disposal instead of grafting it back on. So I don't think it's probably not
That
that
doesn't.
bad.
She's ruined now.
Yeah, he's out of there.
She's out of there.
So there's a chance for me. As long as she doesn't listen to these old
I made a salad
podcasts.
and I only can count to 9. You know.
As long as she doesn't listen to these old podcasts where I talk about her arms.
Gal, we love you.
Yeah. All right, here we go. So let's get into it. It's our main topic. Let's review The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Okay, Jack, you go first.
As I said earlier in the show, I really enjoyed it up until the last episode. I was holding out hope somehow that the shield would go to Bucky as a surprise twist. I like Sam. In the comics and even in the show here, I just don't like the Falcon Captain America outfit. I just don't like it. To me, it's not visually right. There's just something off. I just don't like about it. And I don't think the Falcon needed to be Captain America. We've seen in all the previous episodes, he is extremely cool and a hero in his own right. He didn't need to take the mantle. I don't see the kind of stories you can tell with him that you could have told with Bucky. Since the Black Widow is now gone, if they made Bucky Captain America, they could have gone the whole spy route, the intelligence agents, the secret missions, all that stuff, because that's Bucky's background as the Winter Soldier. With Sam as Cap, I kind of get why they did in the comics, because that was during the time, like Joe had spoken earlier, where Marvel was trying to become more diverse, and they were changing some characters around. You could tell those stories, but even in the comics, they ran out of those stories very quickly. After they said their piece, got their message across, that was kind of it for Sam as Captain America. Steve Rogers also came back relatively quickly as well from being written out as an old man.
But he was a bad guy.
But not quite a bad guy. That's going in a whole different Secret Empire storyline that would add about half hour onto the show. So I'm just not excited about Sam as Captain America. I liked all the other stuff that went on. I was glad that Walker, we got to see him as U.S. agent, and he's also not as much of a jerk as he is in the comics. He still seems like a guy who's trying to do the right thing. So I kind of like that they still have him around. The Contessa is trouble. So we'll see. I believe she was a former Madam Hydra.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
And let's face it, that they landed Julie Louis-Dreyfus for a role is great casting.
Yeah, she was good.
Yeah,
but I was going to say, we'll get into that stuff. Just
Okay, but
give me your rating. Give me your rating for the whole series.
I would say up until the last episode, it was about an 8. After the last episode, I would say that knocks it down to a 6. I was that disappointed, and I was watching it like, wait, what's happening here? What's going on? I mean, the fact that you would have a group of terrorists with the super soldier serum in them, any of those people could have been a great lead-in villain for something else. You could have had a new Crossbones with the super soldier serum. You could have had the original Flag Smasher with the black and white costume. Here it is that you up the ante on a whole bunch of regular guy villains. And I get that they got rid of him because, I mean, that scene with Zemo, at the end, just relaxing with a smile, even though he's on the raft. I get why they did it, but it would have been nice to see a couple of those guys still out there floating around as the totally disenchantted, disenfranchised former terrorist type guy. Sharon Carter's heel turn.
Well, you're done. We'll get into that.
Aw.
I'm sorry. We'll get into that. I don't want to we're going to be talking.
I was doing
about
my
all that
best to
stuff.
seem like I was paused since I'm done.
I believe that.
You're done. You go next, Charlie.
Well, just before we get to that, so finally,
Don't let me cancel you.
Yeah, well, there it is. Where is Steve Rogers? I think we know now that.
What the heck? He's on the moon? They keep joking about that. What?
Playing golf. He's playing golf, and he doesn't care. That's pretty much what the only conclusion you can give. Jack, I'm sorry to hear that you were disappointed. Because my disappointments.
You know what we need is more empathy on this show.
Well, I'm glad to provide. Well, don't count your chickens just yet. You're disappointed because you enjoyed the other 5. I'm pretty much resigned to this because I haven't enjoyed any of them. Really, I think the highest rating I gave was a 6. I give this episode a 3. I give overall, begrudgingly, I'll give it a 4 overall. Just not impressed. I expected more. Let's just think back to five weeks ago when we first saw the Falcon in action, helicopters, canyons, all that sort
incredible
of stuff.
Scene.
Boom, and you're like, great. We had the scene with the sushi, the girl that owned the sushi place, which is revisited in this one. But we had a really touching scene, and I'm like going, I don't know where this is going, but I'm thinking it's all right. Second episode onwards, it just peaked. It just went like that, and then you kind of like in this one, I just went to finish before you get too much into it. I think that I've said all the way through that I think the writers are letting the side down here. In this episode, everyone let the side down. There's blame for everyone, like Oprah would say. Blame for you, blame for you, blame for you. Everyone.
So this is I'm kind of like in between you guys, because I definitely gave a lot of 8s for this series for a lot of the episodes. And I'll tell you real quick, I mean, how I'm going to rank it, which I'm surprised when Jack gave it a 6. I'm actually going to give it a 7. I still think production value, acting, and
it looked terrific. It really did. They obviously spent a ton of money on it.
A series, as a whole, I think it was, well done, but there were definitely a lot of things I didn't like. There were definitely a lot of, I just had me scratching my head throughout the whole series, especially with Carly. And it kind of annoyed me what they were doing. And again, it's like what I said in the beginning about like what they did back in 2014, that they feel that they need to push social issues and that they need to push political issues instead of us all being entertained. Just sit there. We want to watch a Captain America movie. We want to watch a Thor movie. We want to have fun and all that stuff. We don't want to be preached to. And this did a lot of preaching. And I just don't think that I didn't like the message that it was doing. And I know I looked at a lot of sites, they were saying, here's like Sam's speech was so brave and powerful. And
actually, I did like his speech at the end, but he didn't need to be Captain America to say that speech.
Well, my point is, his speech that he said, I'm always for that. I think that you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes. You can't always say, well, this is what I believe and you should believe in that way too. there has to be balance between both sides. And to me, I felt the show, there wasn't balance. It was skewed to one side, to the way, again, they painted one side to be evil and they kind of left them evil, other than they got to them, you didn't, like when he said stuff like, well, did you ever think about what these people, were going through, and how they felt, how about having, some of them represented on your board and all that stuff to decide what's going to go on with the borders and all that. But he never put himself into the people that I guess were pro borders shoes and stuff like that. There are things that we've gone through in this country where I see both sides. Like, again, I know some people that are not in this country legally, and they're some of the hardest working people, and I would never want to see them leave. And I was so impressed. I mean, specifically, I know this guy in the gym, and he was just so great. He was a representative of the people I want to see come in this country. He had a smile. He loved this country, which I really loved about him. He was nice to everybody. He would shake everybody's hand, and he basically was doing janitorial work, but he was just so glad to see people, and he made you feel good that, he was glad to see you. And he would help you whenever you wanted it. He was always an amazing worker. Like, someone would throw someone in the garbage, and right away he would empty that garbage. And and I used to talk to him a lot. And I went to the managers and I said, this guy is amazing. I have never seen anybody like this in my life. I want this to go to the corporate headquarters, that I just think he's incredible. And I think he deserves a better position in this company. And, a few months later, I'd seen him and he didn't look happy. And I said, it's not like you, what's going on? And he said, well, I wanted to be a personal trainer, because he was in good shape too. And he used to help people out working out. And they promised me that I could be one, and then I could take the test, but, they decided not to go through it, and they wanted me to remain a janitor. And I could tell his hands were tied, because again, he wasn't a legal citizen. So it's like, he can't complain. They're basically, we'd rather you be, plunging toilets and cleaning up garbage than actually pursuing your dreams, which really made me pissed off, that happened. So eventually he ended up leaving, and he found a better job somewhere else, and they replaced him with somebody that was born in this country. And that guy was lazy as what. I mean, he just sat at the front desk. The garbages would get stacked high. I mean, if you would tell him, he'd be like, well, I'll get to it when I get to it. He had, my point is that if people are going to come into this country, I want people like that, hard workers that love this country. And if you hate this country and you don't want to work, and, all you want to do is criticize, I'd rather switch, like, again, to have, people from Mexico and Latin America come into this country that, again, will make this country great, and that's my view on how I see things where it comes to the border. I understand too, like, because there are a lot of immigrants that came over legally, and I can understand how they're upset too, because they waited years to come over, and then all of a sudden, people are kind of cutting the line, so to speak, and how it can affect the economy too. I don't want to get too deep into it, but I looked at both sides, and and it's hard to come with a definite opinion on where you stay. And I think that that's where the Falcon should have been too, like that he should have expressed both sides' views and said that we have to work together in order to solve this. Instead, it's like, no, you guys are wrong. You have to listen to them, and that's it.
Now you see, I didn't get that you guys are wrong. It's like, I got that you guys need to also consider. And like I said, I thought Sam's speech was very good at the end, because he does call it out. So the people that we have in Washington, some of them are so far removed.
They all suck
from their constituents that, yeah, it is easy to say they all suck, but I'm sure somewhere in some building there are people trying to do right.
Well, yeah, but no, my point is,
it's just they don't open their mouths and say stupid things, so they don't get news time. But I'm sure there are a lot of people who really honestly try to do their best. But unfortunately, the big power shakers, I just think they're so far removed from what the average person on the street goes through that they need to consider. And that's what I took out of Sam's speech, that he was telling these guys that, like, hey, you have to consider, you know, what these people have been through, you know, coming back from the blip, you know, and yes, people might have moved into their areas and something, but you got to take into consideration that these aren't, you know, refugees. These are people who live there and were displaced and now they're back, that they have to help, they need help getting their lives together, not be shipped off to other places, you know, because somebody basically took squatters' rights on their property. So that's what I took from Sam's speech. You sounds like you got something else out of it, but
I think, yeah, it's the cherry. It's a disappointing cherry on top of the disappointing cake. He's throwing out things. I mean, I had to write it down because I'm like,
I'm glad you did.
He's comparing these people. You talk about balance, you talk about nuance. He compares the people to Thanos. He compares them. And I'm like, what on earth? You've just been through all of this and you are directly comparing these people that are making a decision to Thanos. He goes, well,
that was a little overboard.
Absolutely. But, you know, just no super serum, no blonde hair, no blue eyes. And, you know, suddenly this thing's going out. He then says, you need to change or you get Carly 2.0 and you really don't want to see what 2.0 looks like.
So that's like a threat.
And I said, and I've written down here, I went, so you need to back down and don't face the threat. You need to back down and give in to the threat. And I'm like, what is going on? If only we had, I don't know, some form of band of people that could all band together. I don't know, and call them like avenging something. I don't know, but if only we had something like that where we go, do you know what? Take your threat, stick your threat. We can face any threat. We face bigger than a few super soldiers. We can do this, and I think that the whole thing is, it made me, and I'm sorry for the obscure reference on this one, but it made me think, where is Jim Carrey when you need him?
Jim Carrey.
Where's the cable guy? Where is the cable guy stopping this broadcast? Because this is embarrassing. Why is he falling on a dish somewhere and it cuts it out and you don't see the Ben Stiller trial? You know what? I just went, and Amanda, who abandoned the show after episode 1, and go, there's nothing for me here. Huge Marvel fan, nothing for me here. That's what she said. She's making a cup of tea in the kitchen and she's listening to this and she went, is this it? And I went, unfortunately, yes.
See, I wanted to say, like, one of my big problems, or will I say, this is what I feel you have to be in order to be Captain America. You have to meet a few prerequisites. One thing is you have to love your country, warts and all, you know. And the other thing is you have to have superpowers. Now, if they wanted to have a black man be Captain America, Sam was not it. I think if you wanted to choose someone that had superpowers, go after Luke Cage. You know, I could see Luke Cage more as a black Captain America than I can Sam.
Yeah, that's a good shout. And
the last thing is he was too soft. He was sometimes when you're dealing, basically you're not supposed to negotiate with terrorists. You basically take them out when you have to. And these were terrorists. And that's another thing too. When he spoke to the council, I think they called her a terrorist, and it's like, don't use that word. And I'm like, what? What's wrong with you?
That's pretty much what the definition is.
I mean, she was a terrorist, and for him to like cradle her in his arms and fly her down like she was a martyr, like goodness. That she was some kind of Jesus sort of character, and
that's just it. They kind of went overboard. I thought they had like some good points, but then of course they went overboard and lost it. For example, I get the point he was saying that, she's not until she got radicalized, she was just a desperate person in a bad situation.
Like he's telling the people that she's not a terrorist. She's the one that poured gasoline or on that van that they were in and lit it on fire.
At that point, she was a terrorist.
Yeah.
When she blew up the world organization, I forget the name of it, the GWO or something. I don't think she was at the terrorist point there, but once she blew that up and killed those people, that's when she took that flip over to being a terrorist and shouldn't have been dealt with as patiently.
I think it's worse. You get the fight between him and Carly, and he's going, "All right, I don't want to have to fight you, Carly." I'm like, punch her out. She's a terrorist.
Why did he have problems with fighting Carly, but he beat the crap out of John Walker? And they broke his arm. And it's like, he didn't talk with him. He didn't try to like calm him down and say, well, let's talk. It's like, no, give me the shield. Give me the shield. No, and Charlie, I want you to bring up a point that every time I watch this show now, I always think of what you said. Who was it that gave up the shield? Who?
Well, who was it that gave up the shield?
Yeah.
What? Who offered it out?
Well, I mean, you said that Sam had the opportunity to be Captain America.
Absolutely. Yep. He had it. He squandered it, and he spent 3 episodes beating himself up about not taking.
But that's like I want to give you like something that happened in my life. Like I interviewed for this position in Manhattan, and it was a great job, 6 figures and stuff like that. And I had gotten the job, and I decided I didn't want it because I was afraid that they were going to work me to death because it was so much money. And I heard from people, it's like, it's not going to be easy. You'll be working weekends and all that stuff. So they gave the job to somebody else. Now, if that person came to me and said, well, it's really not that bad, and I'm making 6 figures, would I be pissed at him because he took the job? It was my decision. I made the decision not to take it. Sam has got no right to be pissed off, other than the fact that is his shield. They should have consulted with him and said, look, we're decided to go with another Captain America. But again, it's drama and stuff like that. But he's got no right to basically say that should have been me. You made that decision for yourself. You pulled yourself out of the running. And
True.
That's what, again, it annoys me. And again, like we had discussed this too, it's not Steve Rogers' decision to decide who the next Captain America. It's the government.
It is.
I don't agree with that. I get the fact when they said the government doesn't own this shield because
she said it was complicated.
Well, I don't see it. We live in a world where you have choices.
If that's the case, then
if
why
Steve Rogers wants to be Captain America, or if he decides he doesn't, the government doesn't have a say if he remains as Captain
Steve
America.
Rogers owns that shield, how come Tony Stark took it away from him?
Because Tony Stark felt he had a personal claim to it. Tony Stark took it back because his dad made it, not because it was.
And who did his dad make it for? He made it for the United States.
Well, you can't say Tony Stark was 100% right in that movie all around. Tony Stark a lot of times is wrong.
Well, that's why it's complicated. You can't just, I'm just saying, I don't think that, again, if you're in the military, like we had said, like in The Rise of Skywalker, all of a sudden Poe becomes general.
Isn't the military anymore.
All of a sudden, like Poe becomes general, and then he's like, you know what, Finn, I need another general. You're general now too. It's Captain America doesn't decide who the next Captain America is. Plain and simple. That's it.
Yeah, he does.
He may have input.
And here's the scene that was missing, Joe. Here's the scene that was missing from the final episode. There's some lights, cloud, mist, and then a figure appears with a cane, and Steve Rogers turns up and goes, "I don't think I made myself clear." Sorry,
is he Ross Perot?
Oh yes, I'm the king of accents.
With Morgan Freeman announcing it. Well, up in the clouds, there came a man.
But he should have come and said, right, sorry, I wasn't clear about it. I gave the shield to Falcon. He didn't want it. Now that I've thought about it, I really should give it to somebody with super serum or like a super soldier. So Bucky, I think it's you. And that could never happen. Not in Disney, not in the Disney writing studios. that could never happen. But that's what should have happened.
Well, but again, this is
That's
what's
on the new
going
channel
on.
called Disney Minus.
This is what Disney is doing again. Like after what happened last year with George Floyd, they felt that they had to change Splash Mountain to incorporate the Princess Frog. What was it? The Frog? I forget what the name
The
of
Princess
it.
and the Frog.
The Princess and
Tatiana,
the Frog. Yeah, and
which I
it's,
still haven't seen, but okay.
I mean, I like the movie, but it's like, why do you have to take away something that people loved? You know, I mean, there might be like 3 people that find it offensive, and it's like, it's just rabbits and
Yeah, but there's a reason
bears.
why The Princess and the Frog bombed is because it's a bad movie, not
It's
because
not a
of
bad
anything else.
movie. It's a
awful.
decent movie.
I'm
I
a
mean,
massive Disney fan. That's an awful Disney film.
I like
How's
the
the new
music.
one with the Last Dragon? Or
I haven't seen that one yet.
Raya and the Last Dragon.
Waiting for it to be free.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm waiting for. And I mean, you know, I just don't want to give them.
Well,
I already have a regular subscription. I don't need a premium subscription.
I'll
but,
give you a warning. Aquafina's in this one, so
Well, I don't know who she is, so I don't have preconceived hate towards her.
you just seen her on the bus. Anyway, and you know, and I'm going to say too, with the whole thing where like Sam and I guess Isaiah are pushing that a black man can't be Captain America. A black man could be president. I mean, did they forget that? I voted for Obama. I didn't vote for him because of the color of his skin. I felt because he was the best candidate. I mean, and that's people, you can say whatever they want. I mean, it's not a perfect country and everything, but I do think we have progressed a lot too. We still need to make changes to make things better for everybody, but
Right.
we're not as, I think, as racist as what that the press and politicians try to make us out to be. I think that we're more accepting of each other and we're more inviting of learning of other people's cultures. I mean, I know I am, and I love watching movies like Coco is one of my favorite Pixar movies, and I watch it so many times, and I love the fact that they got it right, that they didn't dumb it down. I watch it in Spanish because that's the way I want to see it, you know. So because that's like what it should be, and it's just a joy to watch. And I'd rather, and even Brave, I loved Brave because again they were very authentic. Didn't like the Mother Bear stuff, but I still like that they all had authentic Scottish accents. And you're going to say something?
No, right.
You know, and you know, it just seemed very authentic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm all for movies like that where we get to see new cultures and everything. But I just, again, I hate when people try to say, well, you know, if you don't agree with Sam as Captain America, well, maybe it's because you're a little racist. It's like, no, it's because he's soft. He doesn't have powers.
Yeah, he's indecisive.
I wonder if since the Wakandans made the suit, this is one other thing that kind of popped out for me. I wonder if when the Wakandans made the suit, if they gave him a little bit of a Iron Man upgrade.
Oh, they definitely did.
Because the scene when he catches the truck.
Yeah, those things came out. That was an Iron Man sort of thing.
But I mean, he would have to get some sort of enhanced strength, or let's face it, he'd be crushed between the weight of the truck and the thrust from the jets behind him.
Well, that's
maybe he got like a.
Yeah, but you had John Walker. You had John Walker saving the truck at some point.
But that's John Walker.
So before then,
why couldn't John Walker save those people?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, why did they have to give it to Sam? It's almost like all right, well, he's you know, all about vengeance. He wants to kill Carly, and then all of a sudden he sees these people in trouble. Instead of going after Carly, he says, no, the people are more important. It's like, all right, he's been redeemed, and then all of a sudden, I can't do it. You know,
I don't think he'd be able. I don't even think Steve Rogers would be able to catch a truck falling from a overpass.
No, but he wasn't catching it; he was pulling it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact he was pulling it, you know, but like I said, when Sam was able to catch the truck and push it back, I was like, that's when I started wondering if the Wakandans gave him a little bit of
no, they definitely did
a boost in there.
But
I don't know if they did. he did all sorts of cool stuff with those wings. I liked how the wing would go into the concrete to support him when he had the shield up.
Yeah,
Sort
I
of
thought
as
that was
counterbalance.
cool.
I thought that was a very cool effect, but him catching the truck was a little tough to chew.
I mean, and I'm okay with him. I love that suit, actually. I like it way better than his Falcon suit. I
No,
mean,
I
not
like
the
the
Falcon suit in the
military
comics.
Okay.
I mean, they still haven't gotten the Falcon suit right. They've gotten it better, but I like this suit better, and I think that he would be a perfect partner for Captain America. And like that one person said, they should have called him Captain Falcon, not Captain America. Steve Rogers is Captain America. That would have been a perfect partnership, a perfect blend. And again, they were celebrating patriotism, both of them, and let him have a shield too. I liked when he used the shield to break that glass, and then he flew out. There were a lot of cool things that he did, but I don't buy him as Captain America at all. It's like, again, they're pushing this on us. It's like, well, he's the new Captain America. Good news, Captain America 4 is coming out. He's going to be the new Captain America. And I guess that's what I'm afraid of too, is that we're never going to see Steve Rogers again after this. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, you 50p, Joe.
You do.
I do. So tell me where I need to send the.
I thought it was 10p, but
72 cents. Tell me where I need to PayPal it to.
Right,
I was convinced he was coming back.
But again, like I've been saying during all these episodes, I thought Steve was a jerk for doing what he did at the end of Endgame. He turned his back on his country with some dame that he barely knew. I mean, I think there was something wrong with him. He's kind of like this guy at work that some girl at the copy machine smiles at him and is like, she's my girlfriend. And it's like he obsesses over her and all that stuff. They had no relationship whatsoever.
Jack, do you know what, Jack? You're right. You need a bit more empathy on this show.
Why don't you keep out of it, you limey? But no, I'm serious though. All right, well, let's get back to speaking of Peggy Carter. What about her niece there?
I was sad to see her take the heel turn.
I knew that. I knew you were going to feel that way.
I like Sharon Carter, and I like the actress too, Emily Van Camp. I like her too, but maybe, you know what? Maybe there's more for her to do as a villain.
Well, it's nice that she hates.
But they need a cooler name than the Power Broker. I don't
know.
Yeah. But the fact that if she has the secret soldier formula that she got from that scientist, who knows? She may become a good villain that is new, not comic inspired. I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. That maybe she joins the Contessa and they just become the Bad Bunch. I don't know. But I was kind of sad to see her take the heel turn.
I could see Jack's heart breaking.
It was another reason I don't like this episode.
No, I mean, I told you, I thought that she probably was the power broker. She hated this country. They stabbed her in the back. She was rich beyond belief. It's like, why wouldn't she be the power broker? She was on the phone negotiating with people. I had a feeling she was always the power broker. But in a way, I was kind of glad that she did have a turn because, she took out Carly. And again, she did something that Sam couldn't do. I mean, it made it look like she was trying to save Sam, but she was trying to protect herself from Carly leaking the fact that she was the power broker.
Yeah.
Oh, she was completely an opportunist, completely in taking out Carly when she did. But
I'm looking forward to where she's going with the character. I'm looking forward to what's going to happen next.
Like I said, there's probably more for her to do, a meatier role as a villain than, the Shield liaison or whatever is that they've made her. But I hated to see her take the turn.
But when you think of, again, this is all fiction and everything. So like her big problem was that she helped Captain American Company during Civil War. Why didn't Cap reach out to her while they were in hiding during Infinity War? and say, why don't you join us? I'm here with the Falcon and Black Widow, and
Don't
we're
know.
okay. Yeah, I mean, they were in Europe.
Maybe they weren't after her like they were the other ones, because she never had any reason to sign the Sokovia guidelines. What do they call them?
Sokovia Accords.
Accords. She had no reason to sign the Accords because she wasn't an Avenger, but she did kind of get lost in the shuffle. But maybe Steve felt by bringing her into the fold a little more, he was putting her in more danger.
Maybe, but she also should have known the repercussions of what she was doing.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard when your entire life is upturned like that, I guess.
No, I mean, when she helped them during Civil War, she was a SHIELD agent. She had to know what the repercussions were going to be.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like she doesn't have anyone to blame but herself.
Well, yeah, she made a choice, but I guess after serving her country for so long, she felt they were dealing with her a bit too harshly. I don't know.
It's just dumb writing.
She's got access to all the tech now. She's got access to all the goodies. She's got access to all the things that she wants to need to make.
Well, you got to keep in mind, in their eyes, she did a major accomplishment. She took out this group of super soldiers who were now effectively terrorists. So she did the country a great service.
She did the job of the Captain America.
She did John Walker's job for him without the benefits of the government backing.
I know, just getting off this slightly, but the prize for the most cringeworthy line in any series in the last 5 years.
Here we go.
Hey, that's Black Falcon. No, that's Captain America.
Now, you see, I laughed at that. It's when it's like, here it is. He's standing there with the shield, the red, white, and blue on. And it's like, yeah, it's Black Falcon. Like, no. I didn't find that cringeworthy. I found that funny.
Oh.
No, I just don't understand, like I had said before, why a black person would say that. Why they had a problem with, Falcon just being called Falcon, and they had to put the black in front of it, And I think you had mentioned it, Jack, and it might have been actually, Daniel. It might have been Daniel that mentioned this to me, is that because of Black Panther, that they just assumed that because he was a superhero. That,
yeah, but Black Panthers are black. Falcons are brown and white.
I know. I think it would have made more sense for like a white person to say that, and call them Black Falcon and say, well, wait a minute, he's just Falcon,
No, it made more sense to a white person to say, no, that's Captain America, to show that Sam was being accepted as a role.
Well,
overall, because he made a point about how a lot of people wouldn't accept him, but would have been a point there to see if people were already accepting him as Captain America. Because let's face it, when something big is happening in the world, we see it now with the news coverage the way it is now. If anything is going on, we're seeing it. So as all this stuff was happening, there were people watching. So that guy probably has a smartphone out and seeing, him fighting the helicopter up in the air or something.
Well, let's get into, someone using their smartphone when the stuff with John Walker happened, and John Walker. So what did you think is John Walker in this series?
John Walker, you know what? I liked how they started it where, he came out. He's like, nobody can replace Steve Rogers, but somebody's got to do the job.
Yeah.
And I thought he was trying to do his best. But like we talked about before with the line that the professor said in the first Avengers, the Captain America, the first Avenger, how a strong man doesn't have the respect and the understanding that a weak person does because he's never been a weak person like that. So John Walker gets the super soldier serum and he doesn't respect the power because he's always been like a tough guy who could beat the heck out of nearly anybody he came across. He doesn't have the respect for this enhancements to show restraint. And we saw he doesn't have restraint. He doesn't have that respect for what he's gained. So he uses it in excess, and he kills the guy in the town square with everybody filming. He gets in front of the review board, and they're laying down the law on him. And he's saying exactly what he did. He's like, I was there, you gave me a mission, and I accomplished the mission. You had a job to do. I didn't like, if he said, I love doing it, he didn't. He's like, I had a mission, you sent me there to do this, and I took care of it as best I could. So in some ways, he still sees himself as right for acting with extreme violence.
But there's somebody that wanted to be Captain America. There's somebody that when he got it taken away from him, he fashioned a new suit. He fashioned a new shield. He wanted it that much to be Captain America.
That's what I mean.
Complete opposite.
He wanted that back.
Complete opposite to, I mean, when the Falcon, when the Falcon first appears and, everyone's clapping him and he lands and everyone's like, oh, wow, brilliant, excellent. And doing all of that. I'm kind of like, do people have really short memories on this? Because they would have seen that he'd given up the shield. They would have seen that he's not bothered about the shield. And I guess if I was looking at that,
him giving up the shield, that
gave it to the Smithsonian.
Was that like he presented it in a big news conference or something? So a lot of people probably don't realize that he had it. And
he did do it in front of a big news conference.
Did he?
News was
I don't
definitely
remember
there.
that part.
And Jack, this is the point that I've made all the way through. The various Netflix specials that would have happened on every single person's role in the Endgame, the Battle Endgame, and what happened afterwards, and the story about it, and Howard the Duck story. Sorry, I had to get that in. But all of the stories that would have happened, you would have seen when it came to the end. Steve Rogers, this is Falcon's story. And it's also crosses over with Captain America's story. He gave him the shield and said, you are the person I want to be Captain America. Now, if I was watching that, I would then go, whoa, why didn't you want to be Captain America? Why are you giving the shield away? Why are you giving it to the Smithsonian? And then suddenly, it's almost like, do you know what? I had a bit of soul searching. I went and fixed a few boats. I went and did all of this sort of thing. And then I thought, do you know what? I want to be Captain America. Now, if I was watching that, I'd go, that's great. I get that, but I'm doubting your commitment, if I'm honest.
Well, whereas
John Walker, you weren't doubting his commitment.
Right, but when it was taken away from him, it's a world where people can put on a costume and go out and fight like a vigilante. And, he was basically, with his mind being affected as it was, he's like, well, you know what? I can still be a Captain America, not the Captain America. So he went and he put on his uniform. He made himself a shield, since the government thought the shield was theirs to award to somebody. So he went out and he did the same, but he would just be a vigilante Captain America.
It's kind of like when the
he
Punisher
had the powers, and he's like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to keep fighting the fight.
It's kind of like when the Punisher became Captain America.
Right. But like I said, but then they gave him a little bit of redemption when the truck was going over and he gave up chasing Carly to save the people in his truck. That maybe he's starting to learn his lesson that, maybe the mission sometimes has to be changed. That you got to help people rather than just pursue the mission, the objective.
But they took away that moment from him too by having Falcon save those people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think that the purpose of that was to show why Sam is more worthy than John Walker.
Why?
Because John Walker tried and failed and Sam accomplished it. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying from the framing for John Walker, he tried to do the right thing again now for the right reasons, and it just didn't quite happen. So that kind of opens up his arc as the guy just going out trying to do some good. So I think that kind of redeemed Walker a little bit. He's still a screw up. He in the comics, he's always a jerk. But maybe U.S. Agent is going to try to do the right thing, but now he's gotten suckered in with the Contessa. So who knows what's going to happen there?
I think that he'll probably get his own series, and by the end of the series, he'll figure out who she is and.
I think he'll pop up in something else. I don't think he'll get his own series, but I think he'll pop up in some other show somewhere down the line. Maybe if they give Winter Soldier a series, that Bucky starts investigating some clandestine operations and he ends up tripping across John Walker, and we'll get the Winter Soldier and U.S. Agent. I don't know.
Well, I want to say
I don't know what's going to happen
with John Walker, though. For me, he does kind of meet the criteria I was talking about. He loves his country. He's got superpowers, and he's not soft on terrorists. But what he lacks is restraint, and I think that's
strength
the problem.
Of character.
Or I mean, restraint, like where he knows when I just have to hold back a little bit, and not just kill everybody I see and all that.
He was a decorated soldier. He was a soldier.
But that's what bothers me too, is that Sam and Bucky did not accept him. They didn't accept the fact that he was a decorated soldier, that he did his tour of duty, that he had a Purple Heart, that he loved his country and all that stuff. I think that they actually, the way I see it, is they felt that he shouldn't have been Captain America, or that he was chosen to be Captain America mostly because he was a white man,
Well, I think they just resented him because, at that point, Bucky's like, you're holding a shield that doesn't belong to you. You're following a legacy. You've been handed a legacy that doesn't belong to you. So I get Bucky all the way not liking Walker.
But why doesn't it? But why does it belong more to Sam, though? What kind of legacy?
I don't know. I don't quite get what Sam's problem is, other than, I gave that up and now you have it. I don't quite get Sam's dislike for Walker as much. I get Bucky's 100%. I get that motivation. I don't get Sam's as much, except for regrets on having to give up the shield. But that's not Walker's fault.
Walker tried numerous times. He reached out his hand to both of them, and they're like, "No."
I get it. I get what you're going.
Yeah, I think that they were the ones that were wrong in this whole thing. Again, it's all fiction, and it's the writers that are writing this crap, which it is. It's crap. Maybe I'm changing my score to a 6. After this.
No. You locked it in a 7. Sorry,
I didn't lock it in. Maybe. This is like The Voice.
What's that? In a 5.
No, I said a 7.
I said it was a 4. Jack said he was a 6, and you said, "Well, I'm somewhere in the middle of the two of you," which I believe is 5.
He meant in his.
No, I meant middle.
Opinion, his outlook, his empathy.
Because Jack liked the series overall, like from beginning to end until the very end. And me, I kind of, but you basically hated it from its point A to point Z.
It's like Rise of Skywalker, Charlie. It was great up until that it fell apart at the end,
It was great when the credits started rolling.
when the scroll finished flying up into space.
No, when it said directed by J.J. Abrams, it's like, thank God this is over.
God. Oh.
Yeah, no, but that's the problem, is I just feel like these writers are not, they're pushing their political views and their social justice views and all that stuff, and they're not thinking of all people. Again, they have to realize, even in this country, how the elections go, most of the times it's close to 50-50 on, who votes for who and all that stuff. So that represents the country. So why alienate 50% of your audience just to push a certain message? And, in a way, it's just going to piss
because
people
the
off.
Silent majority will let it slide.
That's true. The silent majority does let it slide.
But
look at the Mandalorian, though. They were able to get everybody on board, and and that was a huge success. Why don't they follow that plan? I just get sick and tired. And again, like, if we look at the future of the MCU, we're seeing that. We're seeing what they're going with Jane Foster as Thor. Now they're doing a Captain America 4. they're doing, and I think they're doing a Riri Williams series on Disney Plus. They're doing exactly what they did in the comics, and they alienated people back then. Except I think again, it was. I mean, I heard it was a failure in the comics, and that most people didn't like it.
Well,
And
a
they
lot of they've as in the comic books, it's a lot easier to do because you have a comic every month coming out. It's easy to switch back. So, for example, Amadeus Choi, I believe, is still a Hulk, but they brought Bruce Banner back. Riri had built her garage Iron Man suit, but Tony Stark did come back. So now you have, two of these heroes, and yes, they duplicate it, but you have a younger hero that might skew younger for a younger based book like the Champions versus the Avengers, where you have Iron Man. So it's,
and again,
I can kind of see part of it.
I'm kind of okay with Riri Williams again because she's called Iron Heart, she's not called Iron Man. Right. And I think again, this a more balance for most people would be if he was called Captain Falcon, instead of Captain America.
Yeah.
Because Steve Rogers, because that was what I was talking about, is in the comics when they made him Captain America, the sales weren't very good for that comic. And I think that they went with that for at least 2 years, that storyline. And people were pushing for Steve Rogers to return. And then they're like, all right, you want Steve Rogers back? Here he is. He's a bad guy. He's worse than the Red Skull,
You've got 6 weeks, Joe. In 6 weeks' time, we'll know whether your fears are correct, and I should be a bit more pessimistic, because if they manage to make, and I'm sorry to use this word, I can't think of anything else. If they manage to make Loki woke, then it's all over, because Loki is the complete opposite of that.
Aren't they doing like a female Loki in this one?
Are they? Oh,
I think so. I heard
the battle is lost. Okay.
Well, Loki was female for a while in the comics, and they put it back. Well, they put it back that when all the Asgardians were killed in Ragnarok, their spirits went out. So that's why you had like this really skinny guy being Volstagg, and as it turned out, they sensed a spirit in this woman who was dying, and Thor, because it was a woman, automatically assumed, oh, that's got to be Sif. So he did his Asgardian magic, and then out pops Loki. So, and he's like, what?
Well, I just hope they don't do it. Can I make a recommendation?
Okay, we'll see in 6 weeks if this is an ongoing trend.
Look, I just want to say one thing about Loki really quick.
Okay.
Now, Hela was in one movie, and I loved her. I love her more than Loki. I think she's a better villain and all that stuff. So why can't they do that? Why can't they have like strong female villains that are actually made that way? You know what I'm saying? Instead of, again,
Power Broker and Contessa.
What, Power Broker was what?
Well, maybe that's what they're going to do. Maybe they're going to make her
what was the Power Broker? What was Power Broker in the comics?
Like I've said before, I don't really know the character Power Broker. I know it was a guy in the shadows kind of thing. But let's face it, if she's walking around selling high tech and soldier serums, she could be a major villain. And if a former Madam Hydra is around, a real Madam Hydra, not the one that was in the Wolverine movie, they could be up to no good. They could be good. So we'll see. But yeah, Hela was great. She was hella good.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Charlie.
No. All I was going to say is, I can recommend a series on Disney Plus. I actually can recommend a series on Disney Plus. You should go and watch The Mighty Ducks. Yep. Oh, it's good. It's good fun. Yeah, there's a sprinkling of political correctness and stuff in it, but at the end of the day, it's The Mighty Ducks. You can't really mess that up. So good.
Yeah, maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah, that didn't sound very convincing.
Well, you have
That sounded like I'll never check it out.
you have better feelings about Emilio Estevez than I do.
And you like older movies too, Charlie. So
Absolutely.
Emilio Estevez can't act. He's got like an expressionless face throughout every scene in his life.
Are we revisiting those old stones, Jack? Are we turning them over? Are we?
let's turn them over. Let's turn them over.
He's
We
a
put
lesser.
the Breakfast Club. We put the Breakfast Club behind us collectively. Okay.
He's Charlie Sheen. Like,
Rip up that cobblestone and flip it over.
Oh,
can you imagine Charlie Sheen like being the coach for the Ducks? See, that
Yes.
would be good. Is if they
Yes.
were like their competitors. You know.
great! You've
Competitors
just
had
written
a hot,
just written
hot
season
hockey
2.
mom, and here's Charlie Sheen.
Emilio Estevez. You're right. Doesn't have a good track record, but the films he's in are enjoyable. He was in one of the best films of the early 90s.
Which one?
Really? Which one was that one? Was that the one where he was on the garbage truck?
Men at Work. Yep, with his brother. The brothers on the garbage
you're
truck.
serious with that one? I thought you were going to say The Breakfast Club.
Well, they weren't in together, but yeah, that is an example of two brothers genuinely enjoying their own company and making a half decent comedy. And I loved Men at Work. I loved the trailer for it because it had the pump up the jam bit for it, and they were doing this and they were banging the dustbin lids together, and I'm like, I'm in.
Why would you want to watch a movie about garbage? That's why I never watched it.
Because it has intrigue. They find a body in one of the cans. So
Right.
garbage can,
Madeline
yeah.
Stowe was in that with them, right?
That's right. Oh no, Madeline Stowe was in Stakeout.
Stakeout. That's the one I'm thinking of. I'm not thinking of Men at Work. I was thinking of Stakeout.
I can't remember who the female lead is in Men at Work, but obviously Charlie Sheen gets us. You know, Emilio Estevez doesn't never stands a chance to Charlie Sheen in the.
That's in the contract.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So one last thing, Dan had actually mentioned this to me, and I think this was a good question that he had. He said, "So now, who should lead the Avengers? Should Sam lead the Avengers since he's Captain America?"
Well, in the comics, the Black Panther leads them.
I said that too. If anyone deserves it, I would say the Black Panther does, because again, he's like one of the Illuminati. He's very smart. Like, he had restraint when it came to Zemo. We didn't even talk about Zemo. you know?
Love Zemo, but yeah.
Yeah, my favorite part.
Unfortunately, guys, I got to head out in a little bit, but yeah, I think the Black Panther, plus he's got the resources to run it. Steve Rogers may have been the field leader, but let's face it, Tony Stark wrote all the checks.
But do you think that they would make Sam the leader of the Avengers as Captain America?
You know what? They did that in the comics, that once Sam became Captain America, it almost seemed like he was in charge. And I don't think Sam is the guy that gets the work done. I don't get he's the leader of a platoon, a squadron. I don't get that from him, because even when he was in the military, he was kind of the guy who jumped out of planes and did stuff. He wasn't the guy planning and strategizing as much, but I would like to see T'Challa be the leader of the Avengers, but obviously we don't know what's going to happen with the Black Panther now.
What about Captain Marvel? Surely.
She would be good,
Yeah, but she doesn't want to stick around Earth. She wants to be out there.
That's true. Yeah.
You need somebody who's going to, stay in a neighborhood, not 50 light years away.
I would say Black Panther, but there's a problem with Chad Boseman, passing away. We still don't know what they're going to do with Black Panther.
Right.
But again, Sam,
I'm sure they'll deal with it. I'm sure they'll deal with it very, very, respectfully. I think so. Whether or not, the spirit passes into somebody else or something like that, that would be kind of like respectful of the whole thing. And yeah.
Well, we'll see. Maybe he'll be back by we see another Avengers movie, Steve Rogers. But I was going to say Sam, like if he was in Infinity War and he was Captain America, before Thanos made that snap, he'd be just basically saying, "Don't do it," I don't think he would be fighting against him. He'd be saying,
Right.
"Oh, like, can't we talk this out?" It's like, nope. You
Can
know?
can we understand? Can we have a talk about it? And can you help me
Yeah.
understand where this comes from? And meanwhile, he's going,
All right, we'll end this one. We got pretty long into this. So Jack, can you tell everyone where they can find you?
You can always send me email at jackm@wwnt.com.
And Charlie.
you can find me at Rusted J Pod on Twitter, on Instagram, Rusted Junk Podcast on Facebook. We have just changed our logo. I'm getting a company that is now going to do our video titles. So at the front, see, I said this to you from day one. Imitation is the most sincerest form of flattery, and you've gone video. I'm going video. So where you blaze a path, I will follow. So that's hence why you've got the as I say, the nice. I haven't figured this bit out yet, but I'm getting there. But look, but you get all the nice green screen stuff. So.
Probably doesn't have any arms. He just has hands.
Well, hopefully you'll be more successful than we are.
So yes, please watch our YouTube video as well.
Like and subscribe. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want, you can email. I'm tired. If you want, you can email me at joe@wdwnt.com or send me a friend request on Facebook. Also, if you like our show and enjoy other WDWNT podcasts and would like to become a Patreon subscriber, please visit WDWNT's Patreon page at www.patreon.com.
I always have trouble with it as well.
Yeah, it's tough. /WDWNT. And check out Walt Disney World News Today, as well as Universal Park News Today for all your Disney and Universal Park news. And please visit I'm so tired. Please
tell us about the carousel of products.
Carousel of products, where there is a ton of fun WDWNT merchandise on sale. And then finally, please, like Jack said, please like and subscribe to the WDWNT Entertainment channel, where we are there weekly. Our shows usually come out Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. And you can also find other original WDWNT original programming there. So with that, this will be the end of WDWNT Nerd Alert Season 7, Episode 14. So until next time, see ya.
Charlie,
Bye.
always a pleasure.
Oh, it's good to see you, Jack.
Say hi to...
And obviously you, Joe. But
say hi to the rest of the crew and
I will do.
Everyone else. Be
I
good
will
to
do.
each other.
No Toodle Pip.
Toodle Pip, old bean.
Pip, pip, cheerio.
Thanks, guys.